unités devront quitter le terrain et à 11 heures très précises, l'épreuve de saut d'obstacle débutera. Alors vous avez découvert le parcours, il y a donc 11 obstacles à franchir, nécessitant 13 efforts puisqu'il y a 2 doubles. Le temps accordé est de 74 secondes, on court à la vitesse de 350 mètres minute. Et le jury, avec le chef de piste, a la capacité, après les 3 premiers parcours, de modifier le temps accordé. Et à ce moment-là, les cavaliers sont prévenus de la modification à la hausse ou à la baisse du temps accordé. Ils seront donc 36 à se présenter en piste pour l'épreuve de saut d'obstacle. On commence bien évidemment par les moins bien classés, puis on terminera avec les mieux classés, et je dois dire qu'on va sûrement avoir beaucoup de suspense et de la pression, puisque moins d'une faute sépare la première de la troisième, et moins de 2 fautes séparent la première de la septième. Il s'agit là encore d'une cavalière. Donc à la fois il faut être bon techniquement, il faut qu'ils connaissent parfaitement leurs chevaux, mais il faut aussi ne pas avoir le bras qui tremble. Parfois, comme disait Karim, le dernier obstacle, on dit je suis sans faute, et puis voilà, la faute arrive à ce moment-là. Donc, merci de bien attendre que les chevaux aient franchi la ligne d'arrivée pour les applaudir. Les chevaux sont émotifs, et puis, dans la mesure du possible, quand on présente les chevaux, surtout avec des jeunes chevaux de 6 ans, on peut les encourager, mais d'une manière très raisonnable. On tape pas des pieds, on est encore pour un championnat du monde avec des chevaux en formation. Donc, essayons d'être le plus soft possible, mais de la même manière pour tout le monde. Voilà. Et quelques informations vous sont transmises. Il est 54 dans 1 minute. Le président du jury va fermer la piste. Et dans 5 minutes, ce sera l'entrée en piste du premier concurrent, l'Italie et Emiliano Portali. La piste est fermée, mesdames et messieurs les concurrents. Ayez donc l'extrême amabilité de quitter le terrain. The course is closed.
Well, a very good morning and a warm welcome back to Lilian Danger for the final day of competition here for the FEI WBFSH Eventing World Championships for young horses. And we will be kicking things off with the 6-year-old division this morning, running in reverse order of merit. So ones to keep an eye on in the running order: Sophie Loeb, Hey Lucky Stan, who were in the individual silver medal position. Remember, after the first phase, they had 20 penalties out on the cross-country yesterday, as did Izzy Taylor. Barrington Boy went in a very, very handy position. Unfortunately, very close to home for them, but paid to their chances of a podium finish this year. But as we head into the top 15, it will start to get really, really competitive. Rebecca Howard and Dolman Cooley. Great to see Rebecca back competing here at Le Lion d'Angers. Rebecca currently sits in the top 15 overnight, and going into the top 10, we start the top 10 with Marcio Carvalho-Georges, Drummond Romeo, who sit on 34.3. Janelle Price, very good golly for New Zealand in there. And then the top 6 in reverse order of merit. 2 for Sweden, 2 for Germany, 1 for Great Britain, and Meryl Blom-Hulsman leads the way for the Netherlands with Killer Queen. So we will be welcoming our first combination forward to the show jumping in just a couple of moments' time. They're just making their final preparations down in the warm-up arena. The crowds are building here. It's felt quite quiet in dressage days, but certainly won't feel that way for the conclusion of this competition today. 74 seconds is the time allowed. JP Kosnow, the show jumping course designer here. And we'll look to see our ground jury once again in charge of the competition for this 6-year-old division. Jutta Koivula at sea for Finland. Was at sea, beg your pardon, is the president of the ground jury. Robin Fisher for the United States of America, and Douglas Hibbert for Great Britain. And if you are looking to tune in for this afternoon for the 7-year-old conclusion as well, we will be live from 2:30 local time. If you've been with us over the last couple of days, then delighted to have you back. And if you're just tuning in, then a very warm welcome to you. As you can probably gather, my voice, not feeling its best, but it does work, so we will continue on. Fingers crossed it'll loosen up as the day goes on. And I'm sure with the top-class competition that we are going to see, there will be plenty to get us all excited about what is in store. And they know how to put on a show here in France. There's such an atmosphere, there's such a buzz here around Le Lion d'Angers. Looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. There is some news to bring you from actually the first final horse inspection first thing this morning. And there's a couple of horses that won't be coming forward to the show jumping phase, unfortunately. 2 were withdrawn before the final horse inspection, including just out of the medals overnight, heartbreak for Thomas Carlile, Iliad de Casa, and also Victor Juge and Lacrimosa for Hungary. And then Najaminda and Remember Me CH actually retiring at the final horse inspection, electing to withdraw. And we'll look forward to seeing them hopefully back here next year in the 7-year-old division. But getting us underway, General Delicito Italiano and Emiliano Portale for Italy. Just had a couple of problems out on course in the water yesterday. Comes forward on at 113.6, but looking for a completion for this 6-year-old by Pupillo Delicito Italiano out of a mare called Bella Rossa, who is by Carnute. Emiliano Portale gets us underway here on the final day of competition in Le Lion d'Angers. Takes the first part of the combination. And actually our course designer has elected to include 2 doubles rather than a treble combination. And the second of these doubles comes straight back towards the collecting ring. But still jumping really well, actually, this horse. The 6-year-olds had the worst of the weather in the cross-country yesterday. But just the one pole down, interestingly, 1.2 time penalties as well. 74 seconds, remember the time allowed. So 118.8 is his total score.
C'est Robert Mandel. 35e au classement provisoire, 98 points, 90.
So next to come forward, it is for Austria, Robert Mandel and Blue Rave Adesso 2. Comes forward on a score of 98.9. 6-year-old by a Sargo out of a Calibri mare owned by Dirk Tannhauser. And again, another that had problems at the second big water yesterday. And it was actually the middle element, the brush in the water, that caught him out. Also had another a little bit later on as well. Not getting quite as high over the fences as we perhaps saw Emiliano's horse. So 12 jumping, 0.8 time for Robert Mandel, Blue Rave Adesso 2, and they will complete on 111.17.
La Norvège se présente en piste, elle monte votre horaire, Cecilia Marie Lundberg.
Next to come forwards, it will be Cecilia Marie Lundberg and Butts Oral for Norway. This gelding by Lucarelli, out of a graph top mare called Grafin Avalon, owned by Kathleen Hanlon Lundberg, and Cecilia herself comes forward on a score of 66.8. And again, another to pick up a couple of problems. It comes forward on 91.9, beg your pardon. Another to pick up a couple of problems yesterday to add to their dressage score. The Grand Nature combination, and also that really influential Agricole water. So our first inside the time, and comfortably inside the time as well, it should be said. Just the one pole down gives her a total score of 95.9. Cecilia Marie Lundberg completes.
Time allowed is 74 time allowed.
Now to go for Argentina. A debut here for him this week. It is Sebastian Roldan Oliveira and Uterard Sky Special by I'm Special de Muse, out of a cruising mare called Utride Sky Cruise, owned by Seb alongside Duncan Fisher, on a score of 83.3.
For number 7, Robert Mandel. Points plus 0.8 for the time, and final result 111.7. Donc 95-90 pour Cecilia Manuelberg au total, pour Robert Mandel sur les couleurs de l'Autriche, un score final de 111,70, et pour Emiliano Portalé, il y avait 4 points sur la piste en 77 secondes, soit 1,20 pour tenter de passer, et un score final de 118,8. Je rappelle, temps accordé 74 secondes.
And a huge round of applause for Sebastian Roldan Oliveira, not quite able to make the time, but leaves all of the fences in the cups, and that's a good finish to his hit round this weekend. 84.1 his total score. Utrad Sky Special. Irish bred looks pretty pleased with himself as Seb heads back to the collecting ring. The crowds have been gathering here in Le Lion d'Angers. You can see the stands are much more full than they were for the dressage days. It's pretty wild and windy out there, but I'm sure the place will fill up even more as the day progresses. So it is for South Africa, Drew Munro and Darling van Oversea. This mare by Diorado. As for Burggraaf mare called Wanya C, comes forward on 76.0. Just the one problem out on the cross country yesterday. The Pays de la Loire Grand Nature combination at 10. It was the second element, the rail, that caught them out. Just got in very close to that water tray and unfortunately paid the price.
Une faute, 4 points de pénalité dans le temps pour Drew Munro et Darling van Overseas. Et un score final de 80. Final result for the Versailles Swing, 80 points. Le départ est donné à la Grande-Bretagne. Elle monte le 45 d'Asset Fly Path, Kitty King. Kitty King, 31e au provisoire, 73.80. Next to go for Great Britain. Number 45.
So Is this going to be our first clear round inside the time? Kitty King can tango. 74 seconds the time allowed. We'll be close to it. Oh, just sneaks over. 0.4 of a time penalty, but very little to add. 74.2 is her total. Kitty King and Dasset Flight Path, I'm sure we'll have that small feeling of what might have been, but I had a strong feeling that we'll see them back here in the 7-year-old division in 12 months' time, and we'll very much look forward to that. Now for Brazil, Carlos Paro and Nuzette. This horse Carlos owns himself by Jensen VDL, this mare. Out of a Cantos mare called Azet HBC. Comes forward on 73.3. So can't afford a pole to stay ahead of Kitty King. He saw a flyer to that water tray. We've seen a couple add in that distance and it had not pay off for them. He committed to the longer distance, but that didn't pay off for him, unfortunately. Just got a little bit too free down the line. So Carlos Paro going to run into a time penalty or two as well with Nuzette. Clears the last and is going to have 0.8 time penalties to add, so 4.8 in total, 78.1. That will drop him just one place on the leaderboard below Kitty King and Dasset Flight Path, who move up into the top 30.
Le départ est donné aux Pays-Bas. Il monte checkpoint 46. C'est Meret Blomelsman, 29e au classement provisoire, 63.30.
Now, in a very short period of time, this lady will be jumping to make history for the Netherlands. It is Meryl Blom-Hulsman. She is our overnight leader with Killer Queen. She comes forward first of all with checkpoint 46 on a score of 63.3. Owned by Stal Blom-Hulsman. This gelding by Chacoon Blue. Another out of a Casal mare. So far, very, very careful in this phase. The time has been quite influential so far. We've only seen a handful just go inside. I think there's only been probably 2 that have jumped without time penalties. Yet to have anybody with a faultless round. No jumping and no time. Could this be our first? And not got a million amounts of time on the clock. She's going to get time penalties. That'll be a good learning for her for the next ride. Meryl Blom-Hulsman clear jumping 2.4 time with checkpoint 46. So she finished on 65.7. And that is good enough to hold her position on the leaderboard. She will be inside the top 30. She'll go off to make her final preparations now with Killer Queen. And we'll welcome her back into the main arena here in a short while's time. Great atmosphere here in Le Lion d'Angers for the final day of competition at the 2024 FEI WBFSH Eventing World Championships for Young Horses. And now the first of 2 rides for Hallie Coon. Looks like Love, the horse that she brings forward, 33.0 their dressage, then picked up 20 penalties and some time in the cross-country, 61.8 their total. It was the penultimate fence that caught them out. So a really heartbreaking last-moment penalty that took them out of contention for a top placing here. You can hear just how breezy it is. And actually, this is a speedy round, I would say. Clock looks good. Is this going to be our first clear round inside the time allowed? 74 seconds is the time allowed. Hallie Kuhn, and looks like Love absolutely deliver. Nothing else to add. 61.8 will be their total score. That is the score they finish on. They sit in 28th place on the leaderboard at the moment. And we'll see Hallie a little bit later on as well. She comes forward with Boliborn Oliver inside the top 10. Now it is the turn of Lara Delida Kakamaya. Lara comes forward with her own and Orion Titles Jungle Drum 3. Beautifully bred for the job by Jaguar Male. Just took that boxer there. Jaguar Male, of course, has sired plenty of top-level event horses, the likes of Vasily de Lassos, who was the individual bronze medalist from the Tokyo Olympic Games, and also out of a mare who was by Contendro, the sire of the new Olympic champion, Fisher Chipmunk FRH. It's quite a tricky line. So the combination is heading towards the in gate, and then actually you've got to go away from the in gate to that upright. Oh, she rattles the last, but it stays. Lara Delida Kakamaya just has the one rail down with Jungle Drum 3, finishes on 62.8. That will just drop her one place behind Hallie Kuhn on the leaderboard.
Le départ est donné au 35. Elle monte Nikolai, Wilhelmina van der Guspeter. 56,30 provisoire. Next to go for the Netherlands. About 35.
Wilhelmina van der Guspeter and Nikolai next to go on that score of 56.3. And they actually jumped a lovely clear round in the cross-country yesterday, just had those 24.8 time penalties. So they sit just outside the top 25 as things stand. Don't forget, if you're just tuning in, that there were 3, unfortunately, that we are not going to get to see show jump today. Thomas Carlile, Eliade Takasa, who were individually in 4th overnight. And Victor Juge, Lacrimosa, who were individually 36th overnight, both withdrew before the final horse inspection. And then Nadia Minder, remember me, CH, unfortunately withdrawing at that final horse inspection. So down to 36 combinations to show jump in total. Wilhelmina van der Guspeter. Just the last to go. Going to be a bit tight with the time. But, the last goes, unfortunately. What a shame. She sneaks just inside. and that gives her a total score of 60.3. And that is good enough to hold on to her position. So she stays in front of Hallie Kuhn, will be 26th or better. So heading into the top 25 now to jump. And it is Sophie Loeb. Sophie, a former winner of the 7-year-old division here with Sweetwater's Zyathan, comes forward with Hey Lucky Stan on a score of 54.4. And another to have a pretty late run out, 20 penalties quite late on in their round. Not the last combination, but the combination prior to it, just after the big house drop down off the bank. And that unfortunately took them out of the individual silver medal position. This horse by Hickstead White, out of a mare called Stan's Lady, who was by Stan the Man. Stan the Man, the sire of Le Biesthetique Sam, Michael Young's 7-time 5-star winner. Just caught the Devaku vertical behind. So over the last, inside the time, just the one pole down, 58.4 is their total score. And don't forget, we've had just the one faultless round so far. That was Hallie Kuhn and Looks Like Love. So Sophie Loeb and Hey Lucky Stan will hold their position on the leaderboard, 58.4 as next jump. It is another who had 20 penalties late on in the course yesterday, Izzy Taylor, with Johnny Hornby's Barrington Boy. Barrington Boy, Irish bred by Sligo Candy Boy, out of a mare called Watermill Diamond, who I think from memory is by Watermill Swatch. Johnny Hornby owns Barrington Sport Horses and actually had great success in this division 12 months ago, because Barrington Alice, who we'll see jump in the 7-year-olds a little bit later on, was the actual 6-year-old champion last season. But this horse looks like a lovely, lovely stamp of the horse. Reigning British 6-year-old young horse champion. Izzy, who's ridden at championship level for Great Britain. A little bit of luck there. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck in life. She rubbed it, but it stayed. Just the last to go. The time is okay. Izzy Taylor and Barrington Boy give us clear round inside the time, number 2. So they finish on 54.1 and will be guaranteed a top 25 finish. Now for Spain, Alvaro Blanca Traba Centenera and Chin de Barbarosi. Just a handful of time penalties yesterday to add to their dressage score, gives them a total of 52.8. Cannot afford a rail to stay ahead of Izzy Taylor. make it economical in the jump through that combination, but it worked. Time is going to be tight. We'll pick up a time penalty or two, but it is clear jumping. 1.2 time for Alvaro Blanco Trabasantanera and Jinder Barbrosi for Anna Cabalia Revenger, who owns this horse, and that will give him a total score of 54.0 and actually holds his position just 0.1 ahead of Izzy Taylor on 54.1. So the 15th horse to jump in the arena will be for Spain, Philip Lorente Algara, and Postman by Farah Yam out of a Stilipso mare called F Fantasy, owned by Ignacio Barrero Pascual on a score of 50.1. Again, can't afford a rail to stay ahead of Alvaro. And word has definitely got back to the riders that they just need to keep moving to make that time gettable. It is certainly gettable, but you just can't hang around with it. Careful coming out of the second part of that double. Really wanted to leave the fences up. And a lovely round for the young Spanish rider, Felipe Lorente Algara, and Postman complete on 50.1, and it is our first double clear in terms of no jumping and no time in this final show jumping phase. But the two Spanish riders delivering both our two first double jumping clear rounds. Next to go, it is another for Spain, Albert Hermoso Faris and Helios. 49.8 his score coming forward. And his two young colleagues have both just delivered superb clear rounds, so no pressure for him to come in and do the same. .74 seconds the time allowed here. And of course, designer JP Cosnell has set a good fair test in the final phase. It is perfectly jumpable. Time is not easy. There's been plenty of faults around the course. We've had a couple of clears smattered in there as well. So Spain showing us just how it should be done. 3 clear rounds in a row. Albert Hermoso Faris holds his position with Helios, and he will be just outside the top 20 at worst. most likely to climb up into the top 20, I'm sure. And he'll be pretty pleased with that performance. Now the first of our Irish riders. And this is Cathal Daniels. Cathal with that independent article. Jumped clear cross country yesterday, 12.4 time penalties for owner Margaret Kinsella. Independent article by Tyson out of a mare called Sassy Cassie, who was by Cascaletto Saint-Giovanni. Just took the first part of that combination, but actually the horse really didn't like it. Gave so much airtime over the second part. So comes round to the final two. Cathal Daniels carrying 4 faults with independent article. Time is going to be very tight. Might just sneak over as well. Yep, 0.8 time penalties, 4.8 in total, 51.4, 54.1 and 54.1. We'll drop him behind all 3 of our Spanish combinations. We'll go equal with Izzy Taylor, but actually then Cathal will be the higher placing. So next to come forwards, it is the turn of Ireland's Noel Dunn. Noel with another by Sligo Candy Boy. Out of a Luxy mare this time, owned by Jenny Curley. Keith Rhapsody of Belline comes forward on 48.9. And again, can't afford a rail to stay ahead of Albert Hermoso Faris for Spain with Helios. All the poles still in the cups. Noel Dunn, of course, jumping for a top 20 finish here, and actually Keith Rhapsody of Belline found that distance in the cup double really quite short, but was so careful in front. Made such an effort and had such a conscience, which, you know, as a rider makes your life a hell of a lot easier. So Noel Dunn and Keith Rhapsody of Belline are home with nothing more to add to that score of 48.9. They will be 19th or better. So, as we prepare to work our way through the top 20, running in reverse order of merit, of course, Merrill Blom will be the last to show jump in probably about 35-40 minutes time. We look now to Kilcoltrim Big Yin. Carolina Ferrarini, this stallion by OBOS Quality, out of a Voltaire Pref mare, owned by ASD Caro Ride, on a score of 41.3. Such a shame. Now, at the moment, that keeps her in position. She doesn't drop a position. And a lovely round, just a handful of time penalties as well, 1.2 in total. 46.5, it's still going to be enough to hold their position. They will be 18th or better here at Le Lion d'Angers. When it comes down to it, we've got some 2 fences covering the top 6 on the leaderboard. 3 fences covers the top 13 or so. As next to go for Italy, once again, it is Rebecca Chiapero and Baxia on a score of 39.8. So, Rebecca Chiapero just carrying those 4 faults at the moment. Again, good enough to hold her position. 17th or better. Does offer those ahead of her that little bit of breathing room. Time will be very tight. So 4 jumping. And will be 1.2 for time. Gives her a total of 45.0. And again, still good enough to make her the one to beat. 46.5 was Carolina Ferrarini. And so Rebecca Chiapero will be 17th or better with Baxia. So we're approaching the top 16 now, jumping in reverse order of merit here in Le Lion d'Angers. The last to go will be Meryl Blom-Holzmann and our overnight leader, Killer Queen. Can they hold on? Because hot on their heels, Max Warburton for Great Britain in the individual silver medal position, and Katrin Bielin and Diakondiva in the individual bronze. Now, Fabrice Marie, Aito de Lortenia come forward on their dressage score of 39.6. The first of these combinations that we see that could actually finish on their dressage score. It always sounds so easy. You know, when we talk about an eventing, you've just got to finish on your dressage score. But actually, it's so much harder than it sounds. And it's a real achievement to be able to do so. So Fabrice Marie, just the 2 to go. Comes down to the final fence to finish on his dressage score. Clears the last and sneaks inside the time as well. So adds nothing to the score on which he started, 39.6. And he will finish 16th or better. Aito de Lortenia by Upsilon out of a Secret de Chevremer called Nadai Duto, owned by La Maison du Pony. Fabrice Marie is the first to FOD. much to the delight of the crowds. The French crowds are very enthusiastic, particularly about their home riders. As next to go, it is the turn of Canadian Olympic rider Rebecca Howard. Rebecca comes forward with Dolman Cooley by Dignified Van Zorgvliet, out of a mare called Dolman Dimension, who was by Dolman Deja Vu, owned by Cameron Crawford. Clever footwork. That vertical. You can hear just how wild it is in Lilian Danger today. Just took the first part of the double. So that will drop her below Fabrice Saint-Marie. She will stay ahead of Rebecca Chiapero. Now she won't, unfortunately. 2 rails down for Rebecca Howard and Dolman Cooley. That will drop them a few places on the leaderboard. They will go on to 47.0, so they'll actually drop some 4 places. They'll go behind Fabrice Saint-Marie and behind the pair of Italian riders. They will all move up, and Fabrice Saint-Marie now guaranteed a top 15 position. Rebecca Howard still good enough for a top 20. So, 14 left to jump. How does this play out? Well, next to go, it is Christopher Forsberg and Yopotamus. Gelding by Karen Boley out of a Canaan mare on a score of 36.8. 5.6 time penalties picked up in the jumping. They'll come forward in a second, in fact. First of all, Miroslav Trunda, I'm getting ahead of myself. Corneritas, 37.7, their score, and all of those dressage penalties. Miroslav gave this horse a really good ride yesterday. The horse looked like thoroughly enjoyed it. Very, very honest. And like they were a real partnership as well. Time is going to be quite tight, I would imagine. Just the last to go. Miroslav Trunda, clear jumping, will run into a time penalty. Clears the last, and it is 1.6 times, so 39.3. And actually, that's good enough for him to just hold on to his position. So we'll be 14th or better. So next to jump. Now the turn of Christopher Forsberg and Yopotamus, who are on that score of 36.8. 36.8 his score. 39.3 the score of Miroslav Trunda, Corneritis, so cannot afford a rail to hold that position. And unfortunately, that rail will drop him behind Miroslav, behind Fabrice Saint-Marie. The two horses that have jumped those beautiful clear rounds, but it was still a very, very good performance, and it'll be a top 15 finish from Hippopotamus, Christopher Forsberg. So Miroslav Trunda leads the way of those that have jumped, 39.3. There's 12 left to go, and there is very little margin for error. So one pole covers 12th all the way through 7th. And it is, first of all, Sam Lissington and Never Know, 36.4 their starting score. They were the fastest of the day in the cross-country yesterday. This mare Cleo, as she's known at home. Two international completions to her name, finished on her dressage score in both of them. And a clear here inside the time would guarantee her a top 12 finish. Would be pretty close to a top 10, one would imagine as well, given how tight those scores are. Just gets the back rail of the combination. So Never Know and Sam Lissington, one of the fastest rounds that we have seen in the jumping, but just the one pole down, and that will still be good enough for a top 15 finish. It moves Miroslav Trunda one place up the leaderboard, as it does Fabrice Saint-Marie. Next to go, it is the turn of France's Heloise Le Guen and Indian Tonic GQ. They come forward on their dressage score of 35.2, sitting just outside the top 10. It's horsed by Andiamo Samili. Out of a Jaguar male mare, owned by Eric de Saultray. And another that comes forward on that dressage score, so clear inside the time yesterday. Stop the clock comfortably inside the time, it should be said as well. And a couple of seconds to spare. Almost just put the horse back to her too much on that turn. Really had to then push for the distance and commit to that combination. Just took that vertical out behind. So that will drop her. The first rail didn't drop her very far on the leaderboard at all. Kept her in position. Second, unfortunately, does drop her down to 15th. And time penalty as well, 8.4 in total, 43.6 their final score. They will get a top 15 finish here. So 10 left to jump. And don't forget that one of the big pieces of news overnight was that individually in fourth place, Thomas Carlyle, a 5-time winner here at Lilian d'Angers, Tom, Unfortunately, Iliad de Casa withdrawn overnight, so will not be coming forward to show jump in this final phase, which means that Marcio Carvalho Jorge, Drummond Romeo, is the next that we see. One for Brazil, one for New Zealand, one for the US, one for Belgium, two for Sweden, two for Germany, one for Great Britain, and then are we going to see history for the Netherlands? By Womanizer, Drummond Romeo. Womanizer, also the sire of Castle Howard Casanova, who he rode at the Olympic Games in Paris this summer. Rattled that oxer, but it stayed. Rattled water train, it has gone. That's a shame. Not the only one to have taken that, to be fair. So still good enough to keep him inside the top 10 at the moment. Another one isn't. That unfortunately is the other one. The last goes to, so ends up being quite expensive for Marcio Carvalho Jorge and Drummond Romeo. 3 fences down, 12 jumping penalties to add, gives him a total score of 46.3. So that will mean that Miroslav Trunda will move up into the top 10. And Fabrice Saint-Marie, Aito de la Tenia 11th, Sam Lissington 12th. Next to go, it is Janelle Price. Janelle with a horse that I think I fell a little bit in love with on the cross-country yesterday. Very Good Golly. This mare by Upsilon, who was actually a horse that finished inside the top 5 here on both appearances at Le Lion d'Angers. And actually out of Classic Moe, who is Janelle's 5-star winner, badminton winner from 2018. Very Good Golly yesterday was a real machine in the cross-country. She looks like the diminutive, feisty little mare that Janelle knows and loves. Husband Tim out in Maryland at the 5-star at Fair Hill. Currently sitting in a podium position overnight after a very dramatic day of cross-country yesterday. So Very Good Golly, Janelle Price down to the final fence. The time is good. And she clears the last as well. What a cool little horse this looks to be for the future. She's certainly bred for the job. And Janelle, I'm sure, will be very excited about what might be in store in years to come. She looks like she'd quite happily head out back onto the racetrack and go and have another spin round Pierre Michelet's cross-country course. Janelle Price and Very Good Golly are the ones to beat, 34.1. And actually, she's within a rail of 5th place. Not a million miles away from the podium either. So, next to come forward, another ride for Hallie Kuhn. Hallie, who gave us our first faultless clear round in the show jumping inside the time a little bit earlier on. Bowley-born Oliver, 33.7, her score coming forwards. Hallie, who had that brilliant 3rd place finish at Buccolo last week was part of the US team that took the team silver in the Nations Cup Series finale. Janelle Price 34.1. She's the current leader. Hallie had to work hard there, but the horse responded. And it is a lovely clear, just inside the time as well. 2 beautiful rounds on the final day for Hallie Coon. She'll be thrilled with her two with that. And that sees her finish inside the top 8. 33.7 is now the one to beat. So we've got just 7 left to show jump here in Le Lion d'Angers as we reach the conclusion of the 6-year-old Young Horse World Eventing Championships. As now we welcome forwards for Belgium, Loreen Thijs and Hand in Glove on a score of 33.3 by Hopalong Cassidy out of a mare called Joelle. 33.3, so not even a fence in hand of Hallie Coon or Janelle Price. All gets very, very tight on the leaderboard at this point. Loreen Thijs, the highest placed of our Belgian riders in this 6-year-old division at the moment. Time looks okay. Doesn't want to waste too much going to the last. So Loreen Thijs inside the time, 1 pole down, 37.3. That drops her below Hallie Coon and below Janelle Price.
That's 4 jumping faults, no time faults for our Belgian couple, Loreen Thijs and Hand in Glove TVZ. They finish on a total of 37.3.
Moins de 2 fautes séparent la 6e de la première. Les choses très sérieuses commencent avec la Suède en piste. Elle monte le 26, Lady Roller. 6e au provisoire avec un score de 31.
So, next to come forward, Sally Wittwangen and Lady Roller for Sweden on a score of 31.8, all of those dressage penalties. And actually 31.8 saw them in 17th after dressage. They moved up to 6th with that beautiful clear round, just over a fence behind the top of the podium. Currently the podium in bronze is 29.0, so within a fence of 3rd place. Takes the back rail. So that means that in terms of the leaderboard as things stand at the moment, Hallie Coon 33.7 moves up, as does Janelle Price and Loreen Thijs as well now. She'll really hope that she can just avoid having another... the mare just getting quite strong and running away slightly with her. So she hasn't quite got the degree of control and accuracy that she would like in this final phase. So 3 down and a time penalty, unfortunately, 12.4 to add. It's still a top 15 finish, 44.2. And that means that Hallie Kuhn will be 6th or better. So Hallie, the one to beat, still 33.7. We've got 5 left to jump. 1 for Sweden, 2 for Germany, 1 for Great Britain and 1 for the Netherlands. They will all be in the collecting ring. They'll all be putting their final finishing touches to it, to their preparations. And it's one of those things, isn't it? When you're the last to jump in reverse order of merit jumping, the collecting ring gets quieter and quieter and quieter. It can be an eerie place to be. But first we welcome Anna Fresgaard and Clawfinger, another by I'm Special to Muse. As for Click and Cash mare called Currency, 31.6 is her score coming forwards. Can't afford a rail to stay ahead of Hallie Kuhn and ahead of Janelle Price.
Next to go for Sweden, Anna Fresgaard riding Clawfinger. This is the Swedish woman of Gelding by I'm Special to Muse and Currency by Click and Cash 1155 along for Great Gates Navy.
Anna Fresgaard just 2 seconds over the time yesterday. And she can be reassured by actually those 2 seconds didn't cost her a place on the leaderboard. We're well within a fence of the podium now. So a clear round proves to be very valuable. Hallie Kuhn, the one to beat, 33.7 is the clubhouse leader. Just the last to go. Not got a lot of time, but she can afford a time penalty or so, and she doesn't even need it. Anna Fresgaard, Sweden. Clawfinger finish on that score of 31.6, and that will be the score to beat. She is guaranteed a top 5 finish here in Le Lion d'Angers. She looks absolutely delighted with that, and so she should. Just 4 left to go. 31.6 is the score to beat. Fred Bergendorf, Swedish chef de keep, congratulating her on her way out. And he'll be very pleased to see so much good talent for Sweden coming through from these Young Horse Championships this week. Looks very promising for the future. Now, this horse, I think, was one of my rounds of the day cross-country yesterday. It is Calvin Bockman's Casparo 12, a horse that Calvin owns alongside Jason Bockman, Liam Bockman and Roger Bockman. 30.4 was their dressage score. That left them in 9th. They were clear inside the time yesterday, so that is the score that they bring forwards. Moves them up into 4th. Calvin was the number 4 rider for the German team in Paris, Phantom of the Opera. Finished 2nd at Chio Aachen this summer. One of the biggest results of his career to date. Certainly on the senior level. Had that great top 10 finish in Buccolo last week with Altair de la Sens as well. Just took that rail. So that is going to drop him a few places on the leaderboard, actually. And the second rail is even more expensive. So Anna Fresgaard moves up to within a place of the podium. Hallie Kuhn and Janelle Price both move up as well, as does Loreen Theiss. So he stays in the top 10. But unfortunately, 2 rails down for Calvin Bachmann. Kaspari 12 take away his podium chances. And it is Anna Fresgaard Clawfinger still the one to beat, 31.6. Now we turn our attentions to the podium because 3 left to go. Individual bronze, then silver, then gold. Anne-Catherine Bierlijn, Max Warburton for Great Britain, Merrill Blom-Hulsman for the Netherlands. They're the top 3. Anne-Catherine does not have a rail to hold her position. So if Anne-Catherine has a rail, Anna Fresgaard is guaranteed a podium. She would hold on to just dropping 1 place. Diakondiva by Diakontinas on that score of 29.0. They were in the individual bronze medal position after the first day of dressage. Went down to 6th and then moved back up to 3rd after a brilliant clear inside the time cross country. She could afford to be a few seconds over the time in the show jumping. It's really a game you want to be playing too closely with, though. But there is a little bit of room. And my early thoughts are is that she's probably not travelling as quickly as some of the others that we have seen. And a rail has gone. So Anna Fresgaard will pick up a podium finish for Sweden here. And Catherine Bierlijn will just drop 1 place on the leaderboard at the moment. 1 more rail and it becomes very expensive. .74 seconds the time allowed. Will be tight. Should just sneak inside. And the last stays as well does sneak inside. So just 1 pole down. That's a real shame. Anne-Catherine Bierlijn and Diakondiva will finish on a score of 33. But Anna Fresgaard and Clawfinger will pick up a podium finish for Sweden here. And that is an absolutely brilliant performance for her. And it'll be the first podium finish for Sweden in some time here in Lille-en-Danger. It was 2010 that Sara Olgertsen Ostolt last finished on the podium. She won the 6-year-old division with Reality 39. Marlin Peterson, also a past winner. Let's focus though on Max Warburton. Norway van der Haar for Great Britain, 28.8 within a fence of our leader. If Max has a fence, then Merrill Blom-Hulsman will have a fence in hand to take the title. So Max needs to jump clear to put the pressure on that score of 28.8. He was 4th after dressage, moved up into a podium position with that brilliant clear very early on in the day in the cross country yesterday. Made the time look very straightforward early on, and actually it proved to be far from the case in terms of going clear inside the time. It caused plenty of trouble. Ooh. Max Norway van der Haar. Again, the time isn't the end of the world. He can afford to be a couple of seconds over. Jumps the last. And that is at least an individual silver medal for Max Warburton and Norway van der Haar. And you can see just what it means to him. He's absolutely delighted with it. And you know what? He had a tough time in the show jumping when in a podium position in Buccolo a few weeks ago. And I think you can see just what it means to him to come out and deliver. Because you try not to let it get in your head. But you've got to be able to keep cool. You've got to be able to keep calm. It would be a huge, huge result for him. But silence will fall here in Lille-en-Danger as we wait to see if Merrill Blom-Hulsman can make history for the Netherlands. They have never won a young horse eventing world championship title here in Lille-en-Danger. Merrill Blom-Hulsman has been the most successful of their riders here by far. She's been on the podium twice. With the Quizmaster, back in the 6-year-old division in 2015, she finished in the individual silver medal spot. And Corminta von Gwick won the individual bronze back in 2020. Killer Queen on that score of 25.1. Cannot afford a rail down, so take the individual gold. Would still take the silver with just one rail down. Oh, slightly nervous moments coming through that double. I thought for a moment it was going to go, but it stayed. Just the last to go. The time is absolutely fine. She can afford to be a few seconds over. Merrill Blom-Hulsman makes history for the Netherlands. So what a performance from this young lady all week. She has led from the front. And 25.1 is the score on which she will finish. And that is an absolutely extraordinary performance from Killer Queen, the second mare in a row to win this title. Barrington Alice won it last year for Izzy Taylor. And Merrill Blom-Hulsman equals the record finishing score in this division in at least 17 years by finishing on 25.1. And what a brilliant performance for Merrill. What a brilliant result for the Dutch team as well. And Killer Queen is your new 6-year-old Le Lion d'Angers young horse world champion. It was an action-packed show jumping round, and it was a final phase that really did rattle that final leaderboard as well. We'll take a moment to reflect on that here. Merrill Blom-Hulsman, Killer Queen take the individual gold in the 6-year-old division. Max Warburton, Norway, Van der Haar finish on their dressage score to take silver. Anna Fresgaard and Clawfinger the first Swedish rider to finish on the podium at Le Lion d'Angers in 14 years, take the bronze. Anne-Catherine Bielin will be disappointed with that rail down, but Dia Condiva has been brilliant all week. Hallie Kuhn moves up to 5th, Janelle Price in 6th. Loreen Theiss and Calvin Bockman, Miroslav Trunda, Fabrice Saint-Marie rounding out the top 10. Top 12s for Sam Lissington and Christopher Forsberg. A little bit further on down the order, Rebecca Howard, Dolman Cooley. That horse looked like a real superstar in the making. Just unfortunately a couple of rails on the final day, dropping them out of contention. Izzy Taylor, Barrington Boy, another that might think what could have been, having had that very late 20 penalties on the cross country yesterday. But actually, it wasn't their weekend. Kitty King's Static Flight Path, another that jumped a beautiful round on the last day. And that brings the show jumping phase for the 6-year-old division here in Le Lion d'Angers to a close. We do hope you've enjoyed all of the coverage. It has been an absolutely action-packed 6-year-old class. There was so much drama in all of the phases, particularly in the cross country yesterday, and it really did shake up that leaderboard. Pierre Michelet, the course designer, doing an absolutely brilliant job. So the new 6-year-old champion is Merrill Blom's Killer Queen. Now, though, we've got a break because we will be back at 2:30 local time. So in just over 2 hours' time for the first of the 7-year-olds to come forwards. And actually, the 7-year-old division promises to be a really exciting conclusion as well. And if we're looking at the leaderboard after cross country, then it will be Gemma Stevens, Chilly Morning the 4th as the last jump. Astier Nicolas, Ichcote Coudray currently sitting in the silver medal position. Lizzie Boff, Khaleda Spice in the bronze. But there is very, very, very little between it. And actually one rail covers 1st through 5th. Through 6th even actually. So 1st through 6th all covered by one rail. Promises to be a brilliant final show jumping phase. Do come and join us at 2:30 local time. For now though, Merrill Blom-Hulsman has made history, the first Dutch winner here in Le Lion d'Angers.
vous avez tout loisir à regarder les spectacles, à vous restaurer dans le village, à rendre visite aux exposants. Et Joël et moi vous donnons rendez-vous à 14h30 pour l'épreuve de saut d'obstacle des chevaux de 7 ans.
Yes, please wander around the trade stands, enjoy. There'll be some things going on in this main arena during the break. Go have a drink, go have something nice to eat, maybe a little bit of shopping, and we'll see you all back here at 2:30 for the start of the 7-year-old World Champion event course, Mondial Podium. Bon appétit!
bienvenue avec un petit trésor. C'est le cheval islandais. Vous pouvez les applaudir bien fort. Je suis accompagnée de trois cavalières. Joséphine qui nous présente Ouscar, la jument blanche, et mes deux filles, Sybille sur le galope, le cheval pinoir, et Lou Manuel sur cette belle jument polka. Je m'appelle Charlotte, je dirige les écuries d'Air Pur et je monte un cheval islandais qui vient tout droit d'Islande, qui s'appelle Baldur. On est ravis de vous retrouver ici aussi nombreux autour de cette carrière. On a reçu une très belle invitation, d'abord de la part du Mondial du Lion, ce très bel événement qui vous est cher dans votre cœur, et du Salon du Cheval d'Angers qui a lieu dans moins de 3 semaines, et nous y serons avec nos chevaux, et j'espère bien vous y retrouver, ce Salon du Cheval d'Angers qui est là depuis 8 ans, 8e édition cette année. Alors pourquoi une belle invitation? Parce qu'on est souvent extraordinaire. Vous avez sous vos yeux un petit trésor qui vient d'Islande, un cheval islandais, tout petit par sa taille, c'est un gros Shetland, grand dans le cœur, grand dans son énergie. Et ce cheval islandais, il est extraordinaire parce qu'il a gardé la génétique, patrimoine génétique qui lui permet d'avoir 5 allures. Vous verrez aujourd'hui ces 5 allures. Je suis en train d'évoluer au pas avec mon cheval. Vous avez vu les chevaux au tuft et les 3 cavalières évoluent au tuft. C'est une allure supplémentaire. Vous savez que le cheval fait du pas, du trot, du galop. Et bien ce cheval islandais dispose de 2 allures, le tuft et l'angle. Alors l'angle, souvent vous la connaissez parce que c'est la même allure que le chameau ou la girafe. Ce sont les 2 bipèdes latéraux qui vont s'activer. Et bien sûr, on vous montrera cette allure avec la jument blanche dans quelques instants. La 4e allure, c'est la plus sympa à découvrir, c'est la plus magique. C'est une allure à 4 temps. Vous me voyez au pas, le cheval déplace ses jambes les unes après les autres, c'est-à-dire qu'on va avoir une allure très confortable puisque ce cheval a toujours 2 à 3 pieds au sol. Au tuft, la même chose, c'est le même mécanisme. C'est le cheval qui fait tout le travail, vous restez assis sur son dos et vous profitez simplement de son confort puisqu'il va garder toujours 1 ou 2 sabots au sol. Une allure à 4 temps, ça n'a rien à voir avec le trot. Si ça peut être similaire à une allure, c'est celle du pas, puisque c'est exactement le même mécanisme. Donc on a la jument grise là-bas avec le drapeau islandais, Lou Manuel qui me présente polka au trot. Vous voyez, ces chevaux sont capables de faire toutes les allures. Le cheval pinoir qui se balade au tuft, cette allure extrêmement confortable, 4 temps, toujours un pied au sol, vous êtes assis sur son dos. Pas besoin de trotter enlevé, pas besoin de cette technique, appréciez juste le confort. Et puis le pas avec la jument blanche, et dans quelques instants je vais vous montrer le galop du cheval. Ok. Vous pouvez les applaudir à nouveau, Sybille, Joséphine, Manuel. Les chevaux sont là pour ça, pour vous faire voyager jusqu'en Islande, cette petite île du Nord. Et puis, bien sûr, ces chevaux savent galoper. Alors, je vous ai dit, c'est des gros poneys Shetland, ils ont le look, ils font 1m30, 1m40 maxi. Il y a environ 3 à 4 000 chevaux islandais en France. Ils sont très nombreux en Allemagne, évidemment très nombreux en Islande et dans les pays scandinaves. Et ce cheval-là, il a donc 5 allures et il vient d'Islande. Et en Islande, vous savez, il y a des volcans qui parfois perturbent un peu l'espace aérien, nous donnent des belles images avec des coulées de lave. Donc le volcan, il est tout chaud. Et il y a la glace. Alors la glace, c'est le froid du cheval. C'est aussi sa façon de pouvoir être très paisible, très doux, très sociable, très facile à vivre. Mais il y a aussi du feu. Et le feu, ça peut aller très vite. Donc on peut avoir du galop tranquille. Là, on n'a plus... Je vous ai dit que ça pouvait aller vite et c'est toujours aussi confortable. Il y a absolument pas de repos. Vous êtes tout le temps assis sur son dos, c'est ce cadeau de l'Islande. Allez, applaudissez bien fort, ça fait une gratuite, on va bien faire le show. Il sera là à rentrer dans 3 semaines. Ce chevaux-là, c'est vraiment le faux sur la glace, il adore faire ça. Et derrière, vous avez un cheval qui est réceptif. À la base, ce sont des chevaux de travail, ils sont encore utilisés pour aller faire des transhumances d'animaux, de moutons et de chevaux. Donc ils ont besoin de beaucoup d'endurance, de beaucoup de power et d'être calme parce que parfois ils vont patienter très longtemps. C'est vraiment leur job. Allez, on va retirer les drapeaux et puis on va vous laisser un petit peu de challenge si vous avez envie. On a des planches, on vous a amené des planches parce que cette équitation elle est musicale. Parfois on ne sait pas trop ce qu'ils font sous la selle, mais vous savez que le trot ça secoue. Le trot on fait 1, 2, debout, assis, du trot enlevé. Donc c'est une allure à 2 temps. Donc quand on passe sur les planches, vous entendez tac, 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 tac. Quand on passe au tuft, on a dit que c'était une allure à 4 temps. Quand on passe sur les planches, vous entendrez tac, 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 tac. Évidemment, on a 5 allures, c'est pas toujours facile, et parfois ça se mélange, donc le tac, 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 tac est pas tout à fait clair, ça peut arriver. On va faire passer plein de chevaux. On va faire passer plein de chevaux, et puis vous allez écouter un peu ce son. Ok. Allez, c'est parti. Les 3 cavalières passent au tilt. Vous avez une jupe blanche qui est un peu emblée, donc quand elle est un peu emblée, ok, extra. Parfois le tilt peut se dégrader vers le trop, vers l'angle. On a une salade d'allure, une Ganzanade en allemand. Ça peut se mélanger de partout. C'est l'art de l'équitation islandaise, c'est de disposer de chaque allure. Et là, vous avez entendu 2 temps. 2 par 2. Faites attention au passage de la jument blanche. Elle a beaucoup d'angles. Tout à l'heure, elle montrera de l'angle de vitesse. Et c'est pas toujours facile d'avoir un petit tilt bien à 4 temps avec cette jument-là. C'est une vraie angleuse. Il y a des courses d'angles qui existent avec ces chevaux islandais. Alors comme je vous le disais, on vous retrouvera dans 3 semaines au Salon du Cheval d'Angers. Le Salon du Cheval d'Angers, c'est sa 8e édition. Il y a plus de 150 exposants, 250 heures d'animation. Il y a plusieurs carrières, une de CSO, une de spectacle. Prenez vos billets si vous ne l'avez pas fait pour la soirée des étoiles équestres. Il y a une carrière animation sur laquelle nous évoluons aussi pour vous montrer ces petits chevals islandais. Et puis, plein de choses à découvrir pour les grands et les petits. Il y a vraiment, c'est un salon très famille. Vous pouvez venir avec petits et grands, ils se trouveront de leur goût. Il y a un espace western également. Ah, voilà le cheval pinois qui trotte. Allez, on va faire un passage de vallée si tu veux. Donc ces chevaux-là sont évidemment de parfaits chevaux d'extérieur, parce que vu leur pays d'où ils viennent, ils sont très faciles, c'est des 4x4 qui passent partout. Et il y a un circuit de sport qui leur est dédié. Et ce circuit sportif, on s'affronte sur des allures, donc on va tourner en rond, entre guillemets, sur une piste ovale de 250 mètres. Et nous serons jugés par 5 juges en international qui nous donneront des notes de 0 à 10 pour chaque allure. Donc les épreuves de base, on doit montrer les 4 allures, pattes, tilt, trot, galop. Et puis dès qu'on monte un petit peu en performance, eh bien, on doit montrer des variations d'allure au tilt à l'intérieur, en tout cas en plus des 4 allures distinctes. Il y a des jours où les chevaux sont très disponibles, c'est comme au concours d'obstacles, c'est comme au concours complet, tout va bien à la maison et parfois la connexion se fait moins bien ce jour-là. Et parfois il y a des allures qui se mélangent beaucoup. Donc c'est vraiment un art, cette équitation islandaise, de pouvoir montrer toutes les allures. En tout cas, ce cheval est accessible. Vous l'avez beaucoup de chance. On a 30 chevaux islandais qui habitent à 20 minutes d'ici, aux écuries d'Air Pur. C'est vraiment un petit trésor, donc profitez-en. On vous accueille en séjour toute l'année. On vous fait découvrir ce petit cheval extraordinaire qui n'existe qu'en Islande. Et vous avez un petit trésor qui est à quelques kilomètres d'ici en Anjou, les écuries d'Air Pur. Pour montrer la stabilité de cette allure du tilt, on a sorti des chopes de bière et puis ma deuxième fille, Sybille, va s'équiper d'un livre pour vous montrer cette stabilité. Vous allez pouvoir regarder la ligne des épaules des cavaliers et c'est ça qui va vous montrer tout le confort du cheval. Vous avez vu d'excellents cavaliers aujourd'hui et depuis 3 jours au Mondial du Lion qui a une assiette extraordinaire. Alors, on est des bonnes cavalières, pas de souci, on a une bonne assiette, mais là c'est vraiment le cheval qui fait tout. Il suffit de s'asseoir dessus pour pouvoir coller. On est parti. Je vous ai dit tilt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, on est assis dans cette scène. Rien à faire, c'est facile de lire son livre, c'est facile de placer sa chope de bière. Regardez la ligne des épaules des cavaliers, ça ne bouge absolument pas. Vous pouvez les applaudir et les encourager, ils font tous les ans le salon du cheval d'Angers. Vous les retrouverez également sur le cheval de Paris cette année qui reprend une édition. Ils sont là pour vous faire plaisir. plaisir et de vous permettre d'attendre avant cette belle finale des chevaux de 7 ans. Alors évidemment, avec des chevaux qui sont aussi collés au sol, c'est pas un plaisir de sauter. C'est des chevaux qui sont vraiment collés au sol à toutes les allures. Vous avez vu même le galop est très stable. Souvent, je les appelle les chevaux Playmobil, hein, c'est pas péjoratif. C'est simplement le fait qu'on peut enfourcher ce cheval et peu importe l'allure sur laquelle on est tout simplement confortable sur son dos. Et peut vous emmener avec vos parents, avec vos enfants. On monte souvent à 3 générations avec ce cheval islandais. Applaudissez-les bien fort. Joséphine, Emmanuel, s'il vous plaît. Islandais, possédez 5 allures. Jusque-là, vous avez vu du pas classique, du tilt, beaucoup sur les planches pendant le carrousel, à l'instant avec les chocs de bière, du trot. Vous avez vu que les chevaux peuvent tout à fait trotter. Alors on me demande souvent si ça les fatigue de tilter. Ben non, c'est naturel. C'est vraiment un facteur génétique, un patrimoine génétique qui sont gardés de déplacer leurs jambes de cette façon. On ne les force pas. Bien sûr, on va les éduquer, on va les dresser pour que ce soit disponible pour les cavaliers. C'est l'équitation islandaise, mais ce ne les fatigue pas plus que de trotter ou de galoper. Donc on avait toutes ces allures. Je vous ai dit, il lui en manque la cinquième. La cinquième, c'est l'angle. Alors on fera attention à passer à côté des barrières. On va lancer la jument blanche au galop. Et puis elle va pouvoir rembler devant la tribune couverte. Je prends un petit peu de vitesse au galop. Alors l'angle, vous vous souvenez, comme la girafe, comme le dromadaire, 2 bipèdes latéraux, je vais lancer 2 jambes droites, il y aura un temps de suspension, 2 jambes gauches. Le temps de suspension est bien moindre qu'au trot, il est tout petit. Et là, applaudissez-la bien fort, c'est quoi? Ok. On va faire plusieurs passages, parce que pour l'instant, le public était un petit peu encore timide. Alors, cet angle de course, cet angle-là, ces 2 bipèdes latéraux qui s'activent, c'est une allure qui a été conservée génétiquement, et qui est utilisée aussi traditionnellement pour se déplacer sur des surfaces gelées parce qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup d'appui, ça va vite. Et les Islandais appellent ça de l'angle volant, parce que ça va très très vite, on a l'impression que les chevaux vont voler. Hop, 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 hop. On me demande souvent, mais alors à quelle allure ils vont le plus vite? Eh bien, ils vont le plus vite, ils vont très vite au galop, ils vont très vite à l'angle, et traditionnellement, il n'existe que des courses d'angle. Donc on fait des courses d'angle, et ce sont des sprinters. Vous connaissez les quarter horse, ce sont des chevaux qui vont faire un quarter, donc ils sont très rapides sur une grande distance. Ces chevaux-là, c'est des sprinters, ils s'affrontent sur des courses de 100 à 250 mètres. Ils peuvent monter jusqu'à 47 km/h, et sur cette courte distance, donc croyez-moi, c'est des vraies bombes. C'est des Ferrari, mais ça ressemble à un Shetland, ça ressemble à un gros Shetland, et c'est vraiment un cheval très convivial, pardon, et très chouette à vivre. Et comme on est sympa, on aime bien le faire découvrir. Alors aujourd'hui, on a une belle histoire à vous raconter. Il y a quelques années de cela, je travaillais dans un autre centre équestre à côté de Poitiers, dirigé par la famille Rabon, le club de la forêt mouillère. Et il y avait une petite fille haute comme ça, qui prenait l'avion depuis un autre pays, et qui nous rejoignait pour des vacances, pour faire des stages de poney. Et ben, on va lui prêter un gros Shetland aujourd'hui. Elle s'appelle Nouf, là oui. Vous pouvez l'applaudir bien fort. Elle vient pour l'équipe marocaine. Elle était qualifiée pour les Jeux Olympiques. Elle a couru sur l'équipe pour son pays, le Maroc. Aujourd'hui, elle vit en Angleterre. Et elle va prendre le temps de régler ses équipes. Et on va lui faire découvrir ce petit cheval au tilt, le confort que c'est. Parce que c'est toujours attractif et on a beau avoir fait 5 ans, 10 ans, 20 ans, 30 ans d'équitation, on n'a jamais tilté. Donc je vous invite vraiment à venir le partager avec nous ou partout ailleurs. Là, vous trouvez des chevaux islandais, c'est unique au monde. C'est les seuls chevaux qui disposent de 5 Bienvenue, merci de ta confiance. Et c'est parti. Ouais, tu peux prendre un peu plus. Union. Elle a franchi pas mal d'obstacles. Vous pouvez la c'est la première fois qu'elle tête. C'est toujours... généralement, ça donne le sourire, c'est assez facile. C'est accessible à tout le monde, pour les enfants à partir des 10-11 ans. Regardez comme ces chevaux sont faciles, ils sont devant vous sous les tribunes. Il y a 10 ans, avec un autre panel de chevaux, je suis ravie de retrouver cette piste-là. On voit bien que vous êtes connus. Voilà, depuis 10 ans. Ça va, ça se passe bien, la première note. Nickel. Après, je ne confie pas ces chevaux pour aller faire le parcours du mondial. Hein, je vais laisse appeler les autres chevaux. Allez, applaudissez très fort ces petits chevaux qui s'en mêlent, qui sont là pour vous. J'espère qu'on vous retrouvera dans ça, alors pareil, c'est aussi... Ça passe d'un petit Shetland il y a une bonne vingtaine d'années à un grand Shetland, mais c'est toujours aussi confortable, c'est une équitation conviviale. On a la famille ici, les écuries d'Appur, si vous souhaitez nous retrouver, vous pouvez également passer au Salon du Cheval d'Angers. 9, 10, 11 novembre, ça se passe au Parc Expo, pas très loin d'ici. Vous retrouverez énormément d'animations, bien sûr ces chevaux qui s'en aident. Vous pourrez les saluer et même les essayer, puisque cette année, il y a une carrière d'initiation qui leur a de chance pour profiter de ces petits chevaux et essayer. Je vous ai dit, c'est très facile, il suffit de s'asseoir dessus. Il faut juste demander quelle dose de puissance vous voulez et après, vous pouvez vraiment profiter de ces chevaux. Allez, un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour Joséphine, Sybille, Lou Emmanuel, Lou, Marie, qui s'est prêté au fond d'essayer ces petits chevaux avec moi-même. Je m'appelle Sarah, les écuries d'Appur. Encore merci pour cette invitation du Mondial Union et puis du Salon du Cheval d'Angers qui se sont coordonnés pour vous offrir ces quelques minutes d'animation. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt. Allez, on va